So just before we receive our blessing today, I'd like to invite everyone to close their eyes for a few moments to recollect all the merits arising from the offering of the midday meal here today, and also from the sponsoring the chanting of the Dhammaniyama Sutta to dedicate merit for loved ones of us who have passed away. Today is a new moon day, and generally on the new moon and the full moon days, here at Dhammakaya in London, as with many of the branches around the world, we do the Dhammaniyama chanting to dedicate merit for loved ones of ours who have passed away. Of course, all the chanting is in the Pali language, so it's not immediately obvious for many of us what is the meaning or the importance of this chanting. But the Dhammaniyama Sutta is a teaching that appears in many places in the Buddhist scriptures. And basically it tells us about the importance of the three universal characteristics of impermanence, suffering, and not-self for our lives as Buddhists. And you might wonder how hearing this chanting can translate into merit for loved ones of ours who have passed away. But in the words that we just heard in the Pali language, the Buddha said that when one realizes that all formations in our life are impermanent and see this with wisdom, if one is revulsed by the suffering of this, then this is our pathway to purity. When we realize that all the conditioned things in our life are of the nature of suffering, when one sees this with wisdom, when one is revulsed by this suffering, then this is a pathway to purity. When one sees that all conditioned things are not self, when one sees this with wisdom, when one is revulsed by this nature of not self, then this is a pathway to purity. So, for example, if we have happy times in our lives and those happy times come to an end, if we are revulsed that this is part of the nature of existence, then this will lead us towards purity. If we come across suffering in our life, even if it is pain or stress, if we recognize this with wisdom, then this will be our pathway to purity. If we come across aspects of ourself that are not self, for example, our body is changed, there's nothing we can do about it, we realize that this is not our true self, then this will be a pathway that leads us to purity. Every time we have this realization, merit arises, and also merit is generated for those loved ones of ours who have passed away. And you might ask, well, what about the merits which we made today? Even the good things that we learned in our life, the good virtues, aren't these things also subject to impermanence? And we might worry about this. But in fact, all the merits in our life actually add to a part of ourself which goes beyond the grave. It will reach into lifetimes to come and can even be extended and dedicated across the gulfs of space and time to those loved ones who passed away, in order that they have a better and a more refined experience in their lives which they have taken up after their human life, so that they will have happiness. So they have all the opposites of the things I just mentioned. They have the permanence, they have the happiness, they can come closer to what is true self as a result of the merits that we generate today. So it's because of all the opposites to the things that we find in the Dhammaniyama Sutta, the permanence, the happiness, the true self, these nature of things which we reach towards as we become more wise through the practice of our keeping the precepts by acts of generosity and also by our meditation practice.